I don't know what age I was because they didn't tell me, but I was very, very small. I was just kind of a toddler, so I would guess that I would be maybe a couple years old,
Okay.
maybe a little older. And Santa Claus came, and he was a man that everybody knew in the family. I did too, except of course I didn't know who he was. And he came in with his ho ho ho, and he did not have to have any padding because he was just as fat as Santa, and he was came in just like Santa. So we thought, you know, the three of us anyway, thought he was Santa, and he wanted us to come up and sit on his lap and tell him what we wanted for Christmas. And I was very shy, if you can believe it. I was when I was a little girl.
I can't believe it.
And I went up to Santa like, I wasn't going to go and sit on his lap, but pretty soon I was on his lap and kind of sitting like this. I don't know where the picture is. It was probably taken when they took all my pictures and stole them. But anyway, I sat on his lap and he talked to me, and I think I was so excited and flabbergasted I didn't know what to do. I don't know if I said anything to him.
Yeah, do you remember what you wanted for Christmas?
At that time, heavens no, I suppose toys. A tricycle maybe. So I could run down the front sidewalks with the tricycle when the cement was still. I did that. They put cement in the sidewalk in Mom and Dad's house, at Mom and Dad's house. And I happened to get my trike out and was playing shortly after they had finished cementing it. And I rode right down the middle and the front sidewalk.
And left tracks all the way down.
There were tracks, and I think they were still there when we moved out, years and years and years later. So we always said that, and the mother or dad, I guess, wanted to smooth them out. Mother said, "Oh no, leave them." So we always had my tricycle tracks on the front. I met him and he worked for the same company, PJ Gone, that I did. I was in the office and he was one of the crew that worked in building and so forth. And so he came in and he saw me and started to talk to me at the desk and went out to work and didn't say too much about it until I don't know how long afterwards. I guess, no, the first time he asked me for a date was when we were at the Gone party. They have a company party every year. And
For Christmas, or?
no, this wasn't a Christmas party. This was during nice weather.
Okay.
So it must have been summertime. Once a year they have a party for all the people that worked for him. And I happened to be sitting across and a little way down from where he was. And he kept trying to talk to me. And of course everybody else was talking too because we were at a restaurant there where the tables were kind of close together. And I don't remember too much after that. I guess he got my name. He knew where I worked because I was in the front desk. It was quite obvious. And that's about all for that, except when he came back in, he made sure that he got to talk to me at the front desk. He gave me a ring, engagement ring, and asked if I'd marry him. And what could I say? And so we dated for a while, and then I was out with Chris and Chuck in California, and he came out, I guess, this might not be exactly the way, but went out to Lake Tahoe, and Chris and Chuck went out there. So they were in California at the time, and so they went out to Lake Tahoe and met him. Maybe that was, I don't know if that was the first time they met him or not. And so we, four of us, had a good time in did I say Lake Tahoe? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Lake Tahoe, not Las Vegas. And so we went out for dinner a couple times, and they got to know him, and from there on, I don't know exactly what happened. At the end, and we were married in that little marriage chapel, and they had different pastors or whatever you wanted. Did you want, whatever kind of wedding you wanted? And so we went to the wedding chapel, and one day got married, and Bill, he didn't have anybody there with him, but it was just Chris and Chuck and AJ and Robbie.
Oh, right.
And they were there too, and they were real cute, real excited, and I have pictures of them. And so they were, one of them supposedly had the wedding ring on, like a little pillow. And when Bill was, the pastor had said, to give the ring to Bill, and he said, no, that was his ring. He was going to keep it. He didn't want to give it away. And the pastor was going to say, couldn't have it. Actually, I think what he was thinking of was that he was supposed to guard that ring and not let anybody take it. And so when the pastor asked for it, he wasn't going to let that pastor take the ring. And finally, I guess Bill talked him into it, or I talked him into it, that you can give it to him, and then he'd give it to me. So we had a little bit of a discussion there before Robbie would. My biggest hope? Oh, I think I would say that the grandchildren, my hope would be that they grow up and become good men and women, and so far they have. And so I think that's all that any grandparents are hope for, is that they go to school, go to college, and have a good job, find a good woman, and I think
Right.
my dad owned the North Branch Creamery.
Did y'all eat a lot of ice cream?
And, oh yes, and I think my dad's idea was that give them all they want, the kids can have all they want, so that they, won't holler for it all the time. If they had enough or too much, they probably wouldn't be asking for it. But it didn't work. Instead, we just loved ice cream, all three of us kids, Myron and your Aunt Arlene and me, and it didn't matter where we were. My dad would always bring one of those 2.5, I think it was a 2.5 gallon or 5-gallon tub of ice cream to picnics or family gatherings. And his famous last words were, "Now don't be the first ones in line for the ice cream." Somehow we didn't listen, because it seemed like we were always first in line. Like this was the biggest street in the world. We got to have some ice cream. And my dad would sit back there being so embarrassed, because we got it all the time. And he too, I think, thought they can have ice cream whenever they wanted. Well, he didn't mind, because it was better than eating candy bars and going up to the store, spending money on candy bars. So much sugar. Ice cream is a little bitter for you.
Do you think you passed your love of ice cream down to your daughters?
To my daughters?
Yeah.
I don't know if that could be possible. Well,
You passed it down to me.
well, now your mother doesn't, well, just she eats ice cream, doesn't she? But I mean, she doesn't really crave it. I have a craving and always will. I mean, if my whole life it was like, eat dessert first. Life is short. And so I always wanted to have my dessert of ice cream. And I still love to have ice cream. I have it every day. Down at for dessert, I always seem to have ice cream better than the pie. And if you have pie, you have to have ice cream on top anyway. So yeah, I never lost my taste for ice cream. And Dad had heard that give them all that they can eat and they'll soon get tired of it and it won't bother them, they won't eat so much, but it never worked. And Arlene liked ice cream too. She was a great one on that. Myron, I guess, we all three liked ice cream. So we got our fill. and I still like it. I still would like to have dessert first. that's, and that's the story of the creamery. Oh, he also had milk, so we got milk. They had pasteurized milk. Before they started to pasteurize the milk, we would get whole milk. And he knew all the farmers, what kind of milk and what they must have it measured as far as to, like, if it's ABC milk or, the best or it isn't so good. So he would take the best milk and give to his family. And we had milk all the time. We very seldom had pop. And I still like milk. I have milk every day. And I enjoy it. I like the ice cream because it's made. and so it's just been a thing that I've always liked. And somehow I think it kind of paid off, because a few years ago when I went to the doctor for a bone density, he couldn't get over my age and how good my bone density was. So I guess that did kind of help and pay off, yeah. That's the end of the milk story.
Okay, so a few months ago, I don't know when it was, I think it was over summer, I was in your apartment with my mom, and you showed us how little guy acted. You were mimicking him. Can we see that again?
What?
You like impersonated little guy.
Oh, I would not know how to impersonate him.
You did it. So we want to see your best impression of a little guy.
You'll have to go back to that date and see, because
I don't know. I know you can do it.
I don't know what I did to impersonate him. Little guy? Where's little guy? We'll get him in here and he can show you. No, I don't know how I impersonate him.
There was something. How does little guy act?
Exactly the way I said.
Like how?
When did I do that? I'm in my bathrobe. I must have been sick. Many times, many nights, I dream of having Madison. I wake up and I'll call, Madison, where are you? What are you doing? And then I'll look all over and there's no Madison. And so I have to lay down again and go back to sleep. But I do that often thinking that she's there. So I miss her very, very much. And I'd like to, I go over to Mary Helen's where she has a dachshund, short little lady. And she's a lot of fun. But she has a dachshund. And that dachshund, it goes just wild when somebody comes in. So when I go in there to see him, he's just jumping and, gets his toys. And I use him as half of it being my dog. But I'm afraid of which half I get. So I just go down there and play with him for a while. We've always had dogs that look like Madison or the terrier kind. And I've always liked all of them. But of course the best that I liked was Madison. And she'll always be the one that I liked. I think the best. We used to dress her up like at Christmas time. We have that picture of her. She has, I don't even know what it was. It was like a wreath and it stuck out. What was that for? Was it hers, do you think? We put it on her neck. It was red and white and had elastic so we could put it, and it looks like she has.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I don't remember
I remember that.
where it came from. Probably her mother. She had all those things. Oh, yes, she was a little cutie. And everybody at the complex that was there at the time that Madison was there, they'll still ask me, when are you going to get another dog? What happened to Madison? And, they always are asking me. There's one fellow that I go past every day, for lunch, and he'll say, when are you going to get the little dog? And he just insists that I should have a little dog because Madison was so cute and so good. And the people that knew her really thought so too. They really thought she was liked by all people who like dogs. But Madison loved everybody when we sat in that little, like an entry is here. And when Madison was down there, people would always go by and say, Madison, how are you? And she'd go running to them like, oh, there's my long lost friend. Oh, I just hope that they have, and I think they have good morals. They have married fine men and have done a wonderful job. I was a little afraid of your mother when she was in the Army for 22 years. And I thought, oh, she's going to have a child and say, now you go out there and sit, you stay. March around there five times and you don't behave. And I could see her trying to drill her kids into some army type thing. And I worried for a while, gee, I hope she isn't real harsh on them and, really make them. And she wasn't. She really wasn't. I mean, she was just like any other mother would be that hadn't been in the Army. But I was a little afraid of that because, it's so regimented and everything has to be done. I have never seen her be anything but a good mother. And I was real happy. I was afraid because she was in, 22 years in the Army, and all those years, all you hear is, you go that way, you go this way. You're given orders or taking orders from other people. And so I kind of worried about you girls. And I was hoping that that wouldn't kind of creep into her family life. But it didn't. As far as her children, I think they are wonderful grandchildren. And I'm very, very proud of them. And even the people that saw Abby the other day, some of them have come up to me already and said, oh, she's such a sweet girl. And now watch your head swell, huh? I'm thankful that I can walk and do things for myself. I have little problems probably with other things, but at this point, having a good Christmas, and especially being able to be with you people, with my family. And I was glad that I was able to go up and see Robbie when he was married. I saw him, and I was real happy about that. And I got to see his new wife and AJ. And so I just feel real happy because I've seen all my kids, all but Deb's, and maybe someday I'll be able to. Well, they have come one at a time, sort of like, I'd see them. And so I'm hoping I can get to spend a little more time with those kids. But I'm so thankful that you girls have been so close to me that I could get to see you like today. And your mother always has been so good to me and picks me up and takes me with her. Do you want to go along? And, has been really wonderful to me. And your dad, too, on the other side, he's been right there to help fix things, work on things. Right now he has my, what is it called, boombox?
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah.
You never heard that term?
No, yeah.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Right.
Well, yeah, something wasn't working on the tapes when I put them in or something. And I think he took it home, or maybe your mom did, and had to have your dad do it. But yeah, he's been right there too, to do so much for me. So I'm so thankful that I got your mom and dad nearby, and your mom takes me everywhere. I was a little afraid when I gave up my car. I mean, a lot afraid. And that was probably the most, I won't say scary, but that to me was the thing that I couldn't get over for a long time was when my daughter said, I think, it's time that you give up driving. And I'm like, oh no, I can't give up the car. All I needed for is just to go around the block once in a while. And that probably was the biggest adjustment I had to make, was giving up the car.
Has it worked out though with my mom driving you around?
Yeah, it's worked out okay. Of course, your mom, when there's anything going on, she'll come down and pick me up. And with so many people there, when we have a bus, we got a new bus in fact, that new bus is gonna take us for a bus ride tonight if we're there. So they're gonna go around to see the lights, and they'll use the new bus. I like to do most anything and go any place with her. I'm
Yeah.
game to go. She says, "You want to go with?" Oh, sure. Because I like getting out for one thing. When you've driven almost all your life. Since I was 15, you could take and go, and now I can't. I mean, no matter what there is, I can't go unless somebody else drive where the bus down there goes. So when your mom says, "Do you want to ride with me?" Of course. So I enjoy going wherever. And she does, she calls, and even down, and this hasn't been St. Louis with me, but I've been down to Abby's school. So yeah, I like that. She's always included me in a lot of, most everything. And of course there are times when she wouldn't want me to be around, and I probably wouldn't want to be around either. You don't like, I suppose, sitting around with old people and listening to them all the time, and I'm sure she doesn't always enjoy, although she's so good with people that she knows a lot of the people. When she comes in, all you can hear is, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Even to these people, like, I think, yeah, you saw Sweeney, the fellow that sings and dances. Oh, he's so funny, yeah, yes. And most of the people are really very good down there, and she's real good with them. So, in fact, I think they're waiting, some of them are waiting for another croquet game. When your mom and dad came down and brought the croquet, and I think they had like 3 different areas. Mm-hmm. Were you here at that time? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that, the people really, really enjoyed doing things with your mom and dad, or whatever they did. Playing croquet was lots of fun. But the older people always seem to enjoy being with the young, because it makes us feel like we're young again. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. When are we going to have our next croquet tournament?
I don't know, we got to plan it.
I don't remember just when. Don't ask me when we were married, because I don't know dates at all. The only one question you could ask me on a date is what my birthday is, and I probably would know that.
Oh.
Where's the little dog?
An apple band out, he makes your eyes bug out. You tell me, say howdy. And then it goes on to the next stage and the next stage. Like, say the last, you're doing it now, huh?
Yeah, you can start.
Huh?
You can start talking.
I only remember, my memory's gone.
No,
I only
it's
remember
not.
the last week.
I know you have stories.
So this will be a short one. Now, do I get the floor and ask you all the questions?
I'll turn off the recorder first.
Abby, are you first? I want to.
How do I turn it off?